Alright, so we're going to go through Infiltration Shadow. First I'm going to go through the skill tree and what an Infiltration Shadow can bring to the raid, and then after that, I'll go through the rotation. If you want to just skip straight to the rotation, you can. I'll have a link to it. Otherwise, here is the skill tree. So, your interrupt, this is your interrupt, goes down -2 seconds. So instead of a 12-second cooldown on your interrupt, it's 10 seconds. Shadows have kind of a long interrupt time, but that's just the way of how they work. Aside from that, you also have increased run speed when you're in combat by 15%, and Shadowy Veil. This makes it so you get plus 30% more armor. So for my character, it pretty much will put you on par with the armor class of a Sentinel. So being an Infiltration Shadow equals being like a Sentinel when it comes to armor. What this does is it makes it so that your blackout move, so aside from, it makes it so that you can use it outside of stealth, blackout effectively becomes a 45-second cooldown that recovers your force power. So that's how that's going to work in this rotation. Aside from that, this is Circling Shadows is like hard to explain in this clump of words. I'll explain what it means like in rotation. Infiltration tactics, it makes it so that the attacks you do will give you this buff. You'll see this buff in your buff bar. It'll make it so that you can pretty much do your backstab attack for barely any force cost, and it'll do more damage as well. And that's the only time that you want to pop your backstab. This makes it so that you can do your blackout more often, and it also makes it so that you take 30% less damage from AoE. So that's one thing. That's another thing that an Infiltration brings to the table for raids, is when there's AoE damage going out, it won't hurt them as much as it hurts other classes. So that's something that your healers might appreciate. Aside from that, let me see if there's something I'm forgetting here. Oh yeah, you also, as part of doing your rotation, you can increase your damage reduction by, it just automatically will stack. So doing critical hits can increase your damage reduction by up to 6%. So in my case, it would be 26% less damage. So on top of that, Infiltration is also the class that takes less damage as opposed to balance. So you're a little bit more survivable. The other thing, so this was something that I used to take. I no longer take it because, like it was said in on the dev, like one of the devs on the forums, they said that low slash and impose weakness, like this stuff was not meant to be part of a raid. So I don't take this anymore. Instead, I use nerve wracking, which increases your spinning kick and force stun. These are your stun moves. So anything that's stunned by you, they take 6% more damage. That's really good for like burning down ads, like small droids on Operator 9, things that you really need to just get rid of the ads right away, and are stunnable. This helps everybody, because everybody can do 6% more damage to the target that you stun. And then Clairvoyant Strike. Clairvoyant Strike is the move that is going to replace Double Strike. So here's Double Strike, and everything that Double Strike does, Clairvoyant Strike does it better and more. And this is like the trademark move of the Shadow. So let's see it in action. Essentially, part of this tree, what happens, the way it's played, is that you go into stealth. Ideally, you want to start from stealth, because when you come out of stealth, the feature of this class is that you do more damage. No, you get more force regeneration. And a lot of how this class is played with spamming your moves as fast as you can, as often as you can, and when you run out of energy, pop that blackout right away, so that you can get your force back. So essentially your rotation, your move's going to be Clairvoyant Strike, Clairvoyant Strike, follow up with a Project, and then you want to keep in mind the way this works. It's a little bit tricky because you're going to spend a lot of time looking at your hotbar, and you're also going to be spending a lot of time looking at your buffs. So it's a very reactionary class. You're going to do moves based on what you see up here, what you see in your buffs. So here's the rotation part. I'm going to just make the buffs appear, and then you'll know what they mean, and then how and what you do when you see that buff. Oh, again, so Clairvoyant Strike, your moves are Clairvoyant Strike, Project, Shadow Strike, and Force Breach. And you also want to have Force Potency there. And you know what? Keep Battle Readiness around. These are your cornerstone moves, so you want to have Clairvoyant Strike, Project, Shadow Strike, Force Breach. Never mind Telekinetic Throw being there. It doesn't have to be there. I respec a lot, so for my other specs, I keep it there. But it's not part of this class. It's not part of Infiltration. So here we go. Hold on. Just noticed that I have this. Okay, good. So a couple of Clairvoyant Strikes. As you can see, doing Clairvoyant Strike does couple things. It gives you Circling Shadows, so it reduces the cost of Project, and it also Breaching Shadows is starting to build up. This is your damage reduction is getting increased, so you don't have to worry about that. The ones that you really want to look out for: this one here, this one, and this one. So those are your three things that you want to watch for. So you do Clairvoyant Strike until you have 2 stacks. When you have 2 stacks of this Circling Shadows, pop Project. So pop Project. Here we go. So it'll make your Project cheaper. And then afterward, here's Infiltration Tactics. That's your super backstab. That's what I'll call it, your super backstab. So you're gonna do this, get rid of that, and then your backstab's ready. Take your backstab, and then when you have 3 stacks of Breaching Shadows, and you want it to pop it at 3, that's when you pop Breaching Shadows. So this is a move, Force Breach. It's a move that changes based on what stance you're in. Since we're in the Infiltration stance, it becomes a direct damage single target attack. So let's do the whole thing in action. So we do 2 of those, 2 Clairvoyant Strikes, and then we pop up Project, and we see our Infiltration's ready. So backstab. Oh, we don't have enough Breaching Shadow, so let's keep going. Now we have 3 stacks. Now we do Force Breach. You may have noticed you also get a visual cue on your character. You'll glow. You have like your weapon will glow when you have 3 stacks of Breaching Shadows. So I'm just gonna do the rotation until we see the glow. That's your visual. There you go. There it is. It's a very obvious visual cue. I can pop my Force Breach, and that's pretty much the basics of the rotation. Now we'll do it. What Force Potency does is it increases your critical hits by 60% for 2 attacks. The critical chance of force moves, and Force Breach is a force move. The other thing that it does that is specific to Infiltration is it makes Force Breach ready to use. So in a burst setting or in a typical rotation, you're gonna wait until you have 3 stacks, backstab, and then when Force Breach is ready, pop it, and then when you pop this, look, it automatically makes it ready again. So you can do back-to-back Force Breaches. So this, and then this, and then this. And then you just go back to your normal rotation as usual, and then once Force Potency is ready again, you can pop, pop, pop. So let's do the whole thing in action, and I will start from stealth so that you will see. Is this what it is? This is the buff, Shadow's Respite. So your force regeneration is increased It's coming out of stealth. So now I can pop my moves as crazy. I'm getting lag. Great. Yeah, I'm getting lag. That's not cute. Pop, pop, pop. Back to this. Backstab is ready. Take it. When my force starts getting low, then that's when I'm gonna pop. My backstab is not ready, as you can see. My force is getting low, so after this, blackout. Back to the rotation. It's usually a couple clairvoyant strikes until. Take that. Okay. Oh yeah, and if your force is really low, then I guess you can resort to doing Saber Strike. So, that's pretty much the rotation. As you can see, you reach a point where your force starts getting really low. When you get more, I have to work on this gear this is an old set piece. I have it though just to show you. Over at the bottom, it says for the 2-piece, Saber Strike restore 1 force. So essentially, this is a class that revolves around wanting to spam your moves as much as possible, and also at the same time just constantly starving for force. So at least if you can get the 2-piece set bonus, it makes it so that your default Saber Strike attack also becomes a force regenerator for just 1 force. It still adds up though. It's especially good to get the 4-piece because, as you can see, it increases the critical chance of Clairvoyant Strike by 15%. And Clairvoyant Strike, as you can see, is a move that you're constantly going to be using. So getting your 4-piece is in your best interest. Getting the 2-piece and the 4-piece will really, really help being Infiltration. One thing that I haven't mentioned is the use of Force Cloak. Now, the reason why I haven't used Force Cloak in my rotation is because, essentially, like, in an interview with the devs for 2.4, they said that when they measured the competitiveness of Infiltration shadows, as far as their DPS output, they did not make it so that Force Cloak was necessary to be competitive with your DPS. So don't feel like you have to use it. You should be able to maintain your DPS and be competitive with everybody as long as you play the class well and have the gear that you need. Then you should be able to put out what you need. If you're measuring your DPS on the parser with other people, popping Force Cloak will remove you from the parse with a lot of programs like Mox. So that's one thing about popping Force Cloak, is that you won't know how your DPS is measuring up to everybody else's, because your DPS will get reset and you'll be at like the bottom of the parse if you pop Force Cloak. Why you would want to pop it though is because when you pop it as Infiltration, you get increased damage reduction. Yeah, see, plus 25%. So if you need to survive an attack, or if you absolutely need to drop your threat, you can pop this move. You can pop Force Cloak to get out of it. Or if if the raid is going to wipe and then you want to just get out of there, you can Force Cloak out of it. The other thing that it does, it also, because of this ability here, it makes it so that you get more force regeneration. So it's not just blackout. You also have Force Cloak that can regenerate your force also. So let's just do it with Force Cloak. So I'm gonna do all my moves as usual. notice that I'm watching the buff bar here. I'm seeing what's going on. Yeah, it's a little tricky because you're having to watch what's going on down here, and you're having to watch what's going on over here. And this is the way this is the way the class plays, though. Getting low on the force, so I'll pop that. Backstab. So I'm getting low on force again. So right around here. There you go. So I vanish and do it again, and I vanished so that I could use that. And now this is ready too. Okay, so that's pretty much the rotation. So hopefully, it's a little just for fun. And then of course, like, oh no, there's like something here that I need to kill right away, so we can force stun it real quick. Takes more damage. Kill it. That's me taking advantage of the increased damage that force stun does. Anyway, that's pretty much the tree. That's how it works. That's the rotation. Hopefully that made sense. Again, it's a pretty tricky class to play because you're having to watch what's going on over here and what's going on over here, and you know what? You're also having to watch your force bar. And in between all of that, you actually have to be worrying about your positioning too. Are you in position to do your backstab, or if you move, then oh, you're not in the right position. So it's kind of a tricky class to play. But for some people, they really enjoy it, and so hopefully, if this is your kind of gameplay, then hopefully you can enjoy this class as well. Enjoy.